All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 13. That is right, week number 13 of your 9489 class, which is your cultural heritage class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and what we are going to do today is a quick state of the course update, and then I'm just going to say a few words about why we have the module that we have this particular week, okay? Now, again, state of the course update, that is what I am starting out with. You don't have a whole lot that you need to be aware of, but there are a few things. First of all, you all, as I've said earlier, are on the home stretch now. You've done most of the heavy lifting in this class, and now what you need to be prepared for are mainly outside of discussion board prompts. What you need to be aware of is that we do have a sync session coming up next week, so there will not be a check-in video next week. We will have a sync session with Josh Shepard from the University of Colorado. He'll be joining us, and he will have a report from the Library of Congress National Sound Archive Project. So he'll be delivering that for us. It's a very interesting presentation. I think that you all will enjoy that presentation. Outside of that, the other thing outside of the discussion board prompt that you need to be aware of is that on May the 6th is when you will have your final paper, and for those of you, or when your final paper is due, I should say, and for those of you who have, there are a number of you who have, excuse me, sorry, I just had one of those moments. There are a number of you who have decided to do heritage projects instead of doing the final paper, and that is quite all right. We have agreed, if you decided to go that route, then we've already agreed on what your benchmark is or what your goal is or your objective is in order to get your full credit. So as long as you've done that, then you can look forward to getting a full credit on that final assignment. And if you are not doing a heritage project, then it's really simple. Just go ahead and, like you would any other paper in any other class, just go ahead and read over the prompt. Familiarize yourself with the rubric, and just do what it takes in order to get those full 25 points from this rubric. And I know that you all are up for the task, so I'm not even worried about it. And outside of your final and outside of next week's sync session, all you have are discussion board prompts, and you all are floating into the end of the course rather nicely. And you all have been a pleasure. I hope you have enjoyed this class as much as I have enjoyed you all, and I have certainly enjoyed you all a lot. We only have 3 weeks worth of class left, weeks 13, 14, and 15, and accordingly, you only have 3 modules left that you have to be concerned about. Now, having said that, that is the end of the state of the course update, and so let's go ahead and just talk very briefly about what's going on this week as far as content. So what we have, scroll, and we're right here. Week number 13, from April the 15th to April the 21st, we are actually doing a women in commemoration and other elements of cultural heritage. So basically what this is a kind of a gendered, well, not even kind of, this is putting gender at the forefront when it comes to this class, okay? Because what goes on within GLAM, galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, what really goes on within GLAM is that you have a lot of women doing the work, but you have a lot of men benefiting from or getting the commemoration, if that makes sense. So you've got the women who are out here, you've got a lot of women who are librarians, a lot of women who are archivists, and I'm not sure exactly what the breakdown is as far as museum workers and museum curators and what the gender breakdown with that is. But still, what you have are primarily you have men that are getting the appreciation and getting the commemoration and so forth and so on, and you have women primarily doing the labor. And so that's one of the things that we have to kind of right. That's a wrong that we have to right. We have to make sure that women are getting the appropriate amount of attention and time and recognition and appreciation, and that they're occupying the appropriate amount of space within our preservation, within our conservation, within our observances of cultural heritage throughout. And that is I shouldn't say it's a challenge, but it is something that some of the things that makes this a little more difficult The obvious thing is the bias, of course. We sort of have this bias going on to where we see men consciously or subconsciously. And when I say we, I don't mean the people in this class. I just mean society as a whole. They see men as more important. They see men's accomplishments as grander or more important or bigger and that sort of thing. And so when we dedicate time and when we dedicate time and labor to commemoration of people, a lot of times we are specifically, or not specifically, but a lot of times we are concentrated on men because that's who, due to how history has been recorded, that is who it appears has shaped a lot of history and a lot of what society is like. And certainly patriarchal influences do have a lot of effect on how society operates, even in the current day. And so that's a wrong that we need to right. And the first step in righting that wrong is to bring attention to it. And so that's why I added this module to the class a couple years ago. This module was not in the original iteration of this course, but it needed to be added because, quite frankly, I did see, and what you all are seeing is that most of the students in the class are going to be women, and yet most of the attention, most of the stuff is written by men, and most of the attention is given to men. So we do need to have this module in order to raise awareness of the contributions of women throughout history, for one thing, but also when we talk about cultural heritage and commemoration and all of these things, we see a dearth of commemoration of women, and that's something that needs to change. And so maybe now that this module has been brought to your attention, and now that you have to kind of wrestle with this module and kind of absorb it and take it for what it is, maybe that will raise your awareness in the future, and you will be one of the cultural heritage workers who who helps to right this wrong and make sure that women are adequately and appropriately commemorated and appreciated. Okay, so that's why we have this module, and so I want that to be clear. And then as we scroll down, I do just want to say a few things about some of the contents, but not all of the contents within this module. So the first thing is, yes, you do have a video to view this week, and it is nearly an hour long, so make sure that oh, no, it's not. Oh, Lord, what did I just say? It's a little over a half hour long. But one of the things that I want you all to just, as you're watching this video, just, well, first of all, the prompt for this week revolves around this video, so that's one thing. But I do want you all to just kind of understand what Dr. Alexandria Russell is talking about when she has this conversation with me, and just I'm just hoping that you all gain an appreciation for the fact that she did this work, because there was this, Black women have contributed a lot to the history of this country and into bringing this country to where it is today, but that recognition is not where it's supposed to be. And Dr. Russell is one of those cultural heritage workers who is out here working to change that. And so I hope that there is some appreciation for the work and the endeavors that Dr. Russell has done. And just because Dr. Russell's research is focused on Black women, that doesn't mean that similar things can't be done for other races of women who have made contributions, and those contributions have not been appropriately appreciated. And then also I would add to that it can be a little dicey. I shouldn't even say a little. It would be dicey if somebody said that they had set out to commemorate white women. You could do this for, like, what Dr. Russell is doing. You could do similar things for Indigenous women and for Latinas and for, Asian women and so forth. But when it comes to white women, you probably don't want to frame it, even though there are a lot of white women also who have not been given the appropriate amount of appreciation and commemoration and that sort of thing. You don't really want to frame it as, okay, we are going to do projects to make sure that white women get their due. Please don't do that. But there are ways that can be framed so that you are increasing the recognition and commemoration, appreciation, etc., of white women without making it explicitly about white women. You don't want it to be explicitly about white women, but you do want white women who have not been honored appropriately to get that opportunity. And so there are ways that you can couch that. So for instance, you could have you could do some endeavor where you're saying, okay, we're going to do something to commemorate, I don't know, like women's scientists within the United States who have not been given their due. And a lot of those women scientists will probably, because of the demographics and the history of the United States, yes, a lot of those women are going to be white, not necessarily all of them, but still, you can still kind of correct that injustice of, these women who happen to be white not being given the appropriate commemoration. You can kind of correct that without making it explicitly about white women. I hope that makes sense. But I say all that to say that, that all races of women have been underappreciated and under commemorated, and it's high time that that changes. Okay. So, so you will see that, yes, even though Dr. Russell, her video is focused, and what we talked about is focused specifically on Black women, but women are women. I'm sure you're all familiar with the famous speech from Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman? And if you're not, you can Google that. But all that to say that this shouldn't be seen as a slight by anyone just because Dr. Russell is focused specifically on Black women. Black women are women, and commemorating Black women is a step toward commemorating women, and so I do think that this is appropriate. And then as we scroll down, we'll see some of these other things that, and there you go, commemorating Sojourner Truth. But then also we have a resource here that just kind of highlights some of the work that women are doing in the current day for protecting cultural heritage and some of the cultural heritage work that women are doing. You'll also see that It's Way Too Hard. This is very interesting and a very brief article that I think you all would like and appreciate. It's way too hard to find statues of notable women in the U.S. That's something that, again, I'm hoping that by bringing attention to the issue, we will help to fix it. And so, again, that's why this module is in place. And you'll see this kind of piggybacks. This Shane reading kind of goes hand in hand with what you'll see with this Lewis reading. And then I did want to just show, this is, in my opinion, a very powerful piece here. WNBA star A'ja Wilson teared up during her statue's unveiling. For those of you who don't know, A'ja Wilson and the South Carolina Gamecocks just won their third women's basketball championship and were undefeated, and that's where I got my PhD. So congratulations to Dawn Staley and the crew. But A'ja Wilson was another a previous South Carolina Gamecock who won a national championship under Dawn Staley, and she had now there is a statue in her honor down there in Columbia, South Carolina. And it was very powerful to see A'ja Wilson talk about how she is now being officially commemorated by a school that her grandmother that's just two generations. Her grandmother was not allowed to even walk on that campus. And now she is commemorated by that same school. And so to see that kind of progress for women and that kind of progress for Black people, it is deep, it's powerful. And so that's why I'm wanting you all to watch the clip as well. And then there are a host of other readings. These are optional readings. For those of you who are trying to become librarians, I do hope that you will consider the Carla Hayden Palace of Knowledge. That's a pretty good resource for you all to check out. And for those of you who don't know, Carla Hayden, even though we are in a field that is mostly women as far as practitioners, Carla Hayden, who is the current Librarian of Congress and who was appointed by former President Barack Obama, Carla Hayden is the first woman librarian of Congress, which is crazy to think about. It took the Obama administration to get the first in the Obama administration, as you all know, was not that long ago, 2008 to 2016. It took the Obama administration before we finally got our first woman librarian of Congress, even in a field that is mostly women. And Carla Hayden is also the first librarian of Congress who is not white, and she is black. And so she is a trailblazer in two different sorts of notes. And that's just, frankly, that's just good information for you all to know if you're going to be working as librarians. It's good to know who the Librarian of Congress is, and it's good to know that Carla Hayden is the first black and the first woman librarian of Congress. And there are a few other things here. If you all have any thoughts of optional readings that you think that I should be making mandatory, I am very much in favor and welcoming to hear whatever suggestions you all have in that regard as well. Because quite frankly, as a man, there's a limit of how good I can make this module without the help of women, just to be honest with you, because I lack the perspective that women have and how women negotiate or navigate the society. Okay. So feedback from women on from the women in this class on how I can make this a stronger and better module. I'm very much open to hearing it. And yes, I will take everything you say into consideration, and hopefully the module can be even better for classes in the future. But with that said, why don't you all do have a 35-minute video that you have to watch, among other things. So I hope you sped this up, and I hope that you enjoy this module, but I am going to leave it there for now. And so with that said, I am Dr. Jason. There should be statues commemorating women all over the place, but there are not. Hopefully that will change one day. All right, y'all take care. I'll see you in the discussion boards. Bye-bye.